Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to another wonderful session of Grammar Live with me, Alexander. I believe your week has been fruitful so far, and I want to continue to believe that you've been practicing all that we've been doing here on Grammar Live. As always, I would like to encourage you to share the link with your friends, your families, invite them in, tell them that Grammar Live is on with me, Alexander. So, in the next minute, just share the links with your friends, keep your comments, questions, and contributions coming as we do a recap of what we did last week. Okay, so share the link with your friends as we do recap of last week's activity. So last week we looked at the future tense. Last week we looked at the future tense. And then we said that the future tense is a verb tense expressing an action that has not yet happened or a state that does not yet exist but expected to happen or to exist. So we are doing a recap of what we did last week. And last week we talked about the simple future tense. And we're saying that the simple future tense is a verb tense that's expressing an action that has not yet happened or a state that does not yet exist but expected to happen or exist. That is what we say the future tense is. That is what we say the future tense is. From there, we say we look at the uses of the future tense, the usage of the future tense. We say the first thing that we talk about was for action decided at the moment of speech. So anytime you want to express an action that is happening at the moment of speech, we use the simple future tense to talk about that. So for action decided at the moment of speech, actions decided at the moment of speech. That is the first usage of the simple future tense. Again, we say we use a simple future tense to talk about unplanned future actions. We use a simple future tense to talk about unplanned future actions. Actions that you've not planned for in the future, we use a simple future tense to talk about them. For offerings, requesting, promising, ordering, or threatening. So anytime we want to give an offer to someone to request something from or make a promise, we use a simple future tense to do that. We use the simple future tense to do that. Again, we say we use a simple future tense for unpreventable actions in the future. We use a simple future tense for unpreventable actions in the future. Actions that you cannot prevent. Actions that you cannot prevent. In dealing or in talking about them, we use the simple future tense to do that. A simple future tense. Again, we say we use a simple future tense with conditionals, time, and purpose clauses. We use a simple future tense with conditionals, time, and purpose clauses. That is another usage of the simple future tense. And then we say we use it for thoughts, predictions, assumptions, fear about the future. So anytime we want to talk about thoughts, predictions, assumptions, or fears about the future, we use the simple future tense to talk about that. We use the simple future tense to talk about that. From there, we proceed to look at the formation of the simple future tense. And we say we have three formations, the positive, negative, and a question form. Where we say the positive, we use a subject plus will plus the base form of the verb. Subject plus will plus the base form of the verb. For negative, we say we use subject plus will not or won't plus the base form of the verb. Subject plus will not or won't plus the base form of the verb. And then for questions, we say we use will plus subject plus the base form of the verb. Now, that is what we did last week. Thank you so much for making the time to join me on today's episode of Grammar Live. Now, in today's series, we want to talk about the future continuous tense. Today's series is on the future continuous tense. The future continuous tense. When do we use it? How do we use it? That is what we want to look at, the future continuous tense. First, we say we use the future continuous tense to describe interrupted actions in the future. We use the future continuous tense to describe interrupted actions in the future. So actions that are interrupted in the future, in describing such actions, we use the future continuous tense. For example, when you come tomorrow, they will be playing tennis. When you come tomorrow, they will be playing tennis. So your coming is interrupting or is going to interrupt the tennis that they will be playing. So in describing future interrupted actions, we use the future continuous tense to do that. We use the future continuous tense to describe interrupted actions in the future. Again, we use a future continuous tense to express actions in progress at a specific time in the future. We use the future continuous tense to express actions in progress at a specific time in the future. For example, at 12 o'clock tomorrow, we'll be having lunch at school. At 12 o'clock tomorrow, we will be having lunch at school. So in expressing or describing actions in progress at a specific time in the future, we use the future continuous tense to do that. Describing actions in progress at a specific time in the future, we use the future continuous tense to do that. Again, we use the future continuous tense to refer to actions that are happening now and expected to continue in the future. We use the future continuous tense to refer to actions that are happening now and expected to continue in the future. So if something is happening now and that particular thing is expected to continue into or in the future, we use this future continuous tense to describe such an action. For example, unfortunately, sea levels will still be rising in 20 years. Unfortunately, sea levels will still be rising in 20 years, meaning that as at now that I'm speaking, sea levels are rising and they will continue to rise to the next 20 years. So in describing or in referring to an action that is happening now and expected to continue in the future, we use the future continuous tense to describe such actions. Again, we use a future continuous tense to ask a question politely about the future. We use the future continuous tense to ask a question politely about the future. So in asking question which is related or question about the future and doing it in a polite manner, we use the future continuous tense to do that. For example, will you be bringing your friend to the party tonight? Will you be bringing your friend to the party tonight? You are asking the question about the future, but this time in a polite manner, politely. So the future continuous tense is used to ask questions politely about the future. Ask questions politely about the future. Again, we say that we use the future continuous tense to emphasize future plans and intentions. We use the future continuous tense to emphasize future plans and intentions. Future plans and intentions. So if you have a plan for the future or your intention for the future and you want to emphasize, lay more emphasis, throw more light on those plans or intentions, we use the future continuous tense to do that. For example, he will be coming to visit us next week. He will be coming to visit us next week. So that is the plan for the future or the intention for the future. And future continuous tense is used to lay emphasis on future plans and intentions. Again, we use the future continuous tense to describe atmosphere in the future. In talking about the atmosphere, which is related to the future, we use the future continuous tense to describe or to talk about that. For example, when I arrive at a party, everyone will be celebrating, some will be dancing. So you are describing the atmosphere that will be at the party on your arrival. The atmosphere that will be at the party on your arrival. So in describing the atmosphere in the future, we use the future continuous tense to do that. We use the future continuous tense to do that. We use a future continuous tense to express parallel actions or series of parallel actions in the future. Actions happen parallel, simultaneously at the same time. In describing such actions in the future, we use the future continuous tense to do that. For example, she will be watching TV and I will be cooking dinner. So watching TV and cooking dinner are two parallel actions that are happening or that will happen in the future. So while she will be watching TV, he will be cooking dinner in the kitchen. So parallel actions in the future. In describing or expressing them, we use the future continuous tense to do that. We use the future continuous tense to do that. Now let's look at the formation of the future continuous tense. Let's look at the formation. How do we form the future continuous tense? Now, for the positive, we use a subject, that is the one doing the action, plus will, plus be, plus the verb ending ing. Subject plus will plus be plus the verb ending ing. That is what we use to form the positive form of the future continuous tense. The positive form of the future continuous tense. For the negative, we use subject plus will not plus be plus the verb ending ing. Subject plus will not plus be plus the verb ending ing. And finally, for questions, it is will plus subject plus be plus the verb ending ing. Plus the verb ending ing. Now, this brings us to the end of today's series on the future continuous tense. But before we go, as a way of recap for those who have just joined us, today we talk about the future continuous tense, where we say the future continuous tense is used to describe interrupted actions in the future and to describe interrupted actions in the future. Again, we say we use it to express actions in progress at a specific time in the future. Actions in progress at a specific time in the future. And then also we say to refer to actions that are happening now and expect it to continue in the future. Actions that are happening now and expect it to continue in the future. Again, we said to ask questions politely about the future. To ask questions politely about the future. Finally, we say to emphasize future plans and intentions. To emphasize future plans and intentions. And then after that, we use it to describe atmosphere in the future. Atmosphere in the future. And then we say we use the future continuous tense to express parallel actions or series of parallel actions in the future. And finally, we talk about the formation of the future continuous tense. The formation of the future continuous tense. Thank you so much for making time with me on this wonderful episode of Grammar Live. I would like to always encourage you to share the links with your friends. Keep your questions, your contributions, anything bothering your mind with regards to grammar, and I will gladly give you the answers that you deserve. Till then, have a wonderful week and always remember to continue practicing, for with grammar, you will speak better. See you next time.